The 3-day Bahrain preseason tests for the 2025 season have concluded. However, fast lap times alone are not enough to determine the true strength of the teams. Given the strategic manipulations possible in these tests, the most accurate analysis comes from data gathered during long runs and race simulations. Sauber, struggling at the back. One of the biggest disappointments of the tests was Sauber. Gabriel Bortoleto and Nico Hülkenberg were significantly slower than their rivals in fastest laps. Bortoleto's best lap was 1.709 seconds slower than the leader, only managing to stay ahead of Haas's Oliver Bearman, who faced technical issues. The real concern was race pace. In Bortoleto's second-day race simulation, Sauber was 1.7 seconds per lap slower than the leaders. Hülkenberg had a similar performance, with high tire degradation. However, in the final evening session, Hülkenberg showed slight improvement in tire management. Aston Martin, a mystery. Aston Martin was the only team that did not complete a full race simulation. Typically, race simulations provide the best comparison as fuel loads are known and 57 laps are completed. However, Aston Martin chose a different approach. Instead, their pace is assessed through fast laps. Lance Stroll's best lap was 0.881 seconds off the leader, while Fernando Alonso was 15th overall. Due to varying fuel loads, Aston Martin's long-run performance appeared inconsistent. The best comparison came from Stroll's long run against Williams' Carlos Sainz on the second test day's evening session. Here, Aston Martin was about 0.1 seconds per lap slower. Alonso's morning long runs showed that he was losing about 1 second per lap to the leaders. Racing Bulls, Tsunoda ahead, Hadjar behind. Racing Bulls did not stand out in either qualifying simulations or race simulations. In his second-day afternoon race simulation, Ishak Hadjar was 1.11 seconds per lap slower than the leaders. However, internal comparisons showed that Hadjar was significantly behind Yuki Tsunoda. Tsunoda had a similar long-run program to Alexander Albon on the third day and lost very little time. If this gap continues into the races, Racing Bulls' results could be directly affected. While Tsunoda may fight for higher positions, Hadjar could remain at the back of the grid. Williams, the surprise so far. Carlos Sainz set the fastest lap of the tests with a 1 minute 29 seconds and 348 milliseconds. However, Alexander Albon's second-day evening race simulation showed that Williams was about 0.8 seconds per lap slower than the leaders. Sainz may have set faster times with a low fuel load. Additionally, Williams is believed to have used higher engine power during qualifying simulations. However, their race pace still lags behind. Alpine, best of the rest. After the test sessions, Alpine appears to be the best of the rest. In a Thursday evening race simulation, Jack Doohan was 1.03 seconds per lap slower than the leaders. Teammate Pierre Gasly did not complete his own race simulation, making it harder to assess Alpine's full pace. However, there are strong indications that Gasly is significantly faster than Doohan, just like in the 2024 season finale in Abu Dhabi, where he was around 0.7 seconds per lap quicker. Test data suggests Gasly has more than half a second advantage over Doohan, possibly allowing him to compete with some top teams. For comparison, Doohan's best test lap on C3 tires was 1 minute 30 seconds and 368 milliseconds, while Gasly's was 0.3 to 8 seconds faster on the same compound the next day. However, Thursday's track conditions were better, meaning it was about 0.4 seconds quicker that day. Considering these factors, Gasly was likely around 0.7 seconds faster than Doohan. This suggests he could be only 0.3 seconds per lap slower than the leaders. Like Racing Bulls, Alpine may also see a significant performance gap between its drivers. While Doohan seems to be at the Haas and Aston Martin level, Gasly might be challenging some top-tier teams. However, as Gasly did not complete a full race simulation, conclusions should be drawn cautiously. Ferrari, fast over 1 lap, race pace in question. Ferrari posted strong lap times in testing, with Lewis Hamilton setting the second fastest time and Charles Leclerc in third. However, test data suggests that Ferrari struggles with race pace. Leclerc completed a race simulation with McLaren's Lando Norris on the second test day and was 0.470 seconds per lap slower. Hamilton's simulation was cut short due to technical issues. Compared to McLaren and Mercedes, Ferrari showed lower straight-line speed in race simulations, possibly indicating a lower engine mode. However, in Friday's qualifying simulations, Ferrari appeared to use more power, showing competitive single-lap speed. Leclerc's long run suggests that Ferrari is behind McLaren and Mercedes in race pace. On C3 tires, Leclerc completed 10 laps with an average time of 1 minute 37 seconds and 456 milliseconds. 4 hours later, Oscar Piastri, with a full fuel load, averaged 1 minute 36 seconds and 192 milliseconds on the same tire. As track temperatures dropped between Leclerc's 12:30 p.m. and Piastri's 4:30 p.m. runs, the track became about 0.5 seconds faster. Even considering this, Ferrari was nearly 0.8 seconds slower than McLaren. Mercedes, high potential but tire wear issues. Mercedes race simulations produced similar results to Ferrari's. Kimi Antonelli was 0.46 seconds per lap slower than Lando Norris, and George Russell was 0.34 seconds slower than Oscar Piastri. Tire degradation was a major issue in the first 2 days. Antonelli started with a pace matching Norris, but eventually lost up to 1 second per lap. Russell managed his tires better, but was still about 0.5 seconds behind McLaren. Their single lap pace, however, looked strong. Russell set one of the best laps on the final test day. Mercedes is expected to perform well in qualifying, but may fall back in race conditions. Red Bull, Verstappen's true speed unclear. Max Verstappen did not complete a full race simulation. Instead, Liam Lawson took on this task and was 0.760 seconds per lap slower. However, Verstappen has historically been about 0.6 seconds faster than his teammates. If this trend continues, Red Bull appears to be significantly faster than Mercedes and Ferrari. Some of Verstappen's laps during race stints also indicated that Red Bull has excellent tire management in qualifying simulations. Verstappen and Russell appeared to be nearly equal. However, Red Bull is expected to be stronger in race conditions. McLaren, untouchable. McLaren was the standout team in testing. While they hid their true power in qualifying simulations, their race simulations revealed their real speed. On the second test day, Norris was 0.46 seconds per lap faster in a race simulation. On the third day, Piastri had a 0.3 second advantage. Their tire management also appeared to be among the best. This suggests that McLaren is currently the team to beat. Bahrain tests do not always reflect the true pecking order of the season. Ferrari, for example, tends to perform better in Melbourne, while Red Bull has struggled there before. The Chinese Grand Prix will likely provide a clearer picture of the team's real strengths.